You are listening to the Fatboy Show on your number one station, RX Radio. How you doing today? Wow, just take a look at the calendar. It's already the 30th of January, and the year is off to a very interesting start, and it's going by so swiftly. We're already at the end of Jan, if you would believe that. Today's the 30th, tomorrow the 31st, and boom, tomorrow, the day after, it'll be February. So
can you imagine?
2023 has different plans for us, I think.
I know.
It's going by very speedily.
Should we say that this is this has to do with climate change? I know you don't like those conversations.
Climate
but
change.
And as in the days go by so fast, the hours move so quickly. Seriously.
So the changing climate is causing the earth to spin faster, so the days seem...
Maybe. I'm no expert on climate change, but maybe there is something there.
Well, I'm sure you're an expert on exploitation.
Which one?
Because you're a female. Exploitation comes naturally to you, and I mean exploitation of men. But the good thing is it looks like the tide is finally turning. The boy child is finally starting to get the upper hand.
Why are you like that, fat boy?
When it comes to this gender war of exploitation. So there's a story that went viral last week, and I thought I'd give it some time for it to cool down so we could get the full facts of it. And it has to do with a chief magistrate's court in Kanungu ordering a woman who refused to marry a man who had paid her school fees to refund the money he spent on her to the tune of 9.4 million. Now, the background to this is that in 2015, a lady called Fortunate Kyarikunda, a very ironic name, as we shall find out shortly. Well, she was a teacher who had come to the same school for teaching practice and was introduced to a one Richard Tumwine, according to court documents. So the two eventually fell in love, and they made a commitment to get married in 2018. And so Tumwine promised to pay for her studies at the Law Development Center. He paid up to 9.4 million for it. So Tumwine, the gentleman, testified that Kyarikunda, the lady, rejected the marriage proposal after agreeing to set up an introduction ceremony in February of 2022 on the grounds that he was too old
for her.
And so the magistrate told the Kyarikunda to refund the money as well as pay his legal costs. So now I guess she should change her name to Unfortunate.
Kyarikunda means fortunate.
Oh, does it?
I don't know.
No, as in her name is Fortunate.
Oh, Fortunate Kyarikunda.
Yes. So now she's Unfortunate Kyarikunda, who now has to part with 9.4 million plus legal fees. Now, here's the thing. For the longest time, many men have complained about how they've spent money to entice the women that they love, only to be disappointed later on when the woman changes her mind. So now that we are seeing courts ruling in the favor of men who are exploited, does this mark a turning point in the gender war, where where women will now hesitate to accept financial contributions from men for fear that in future they might be dragged to court and made to pay a refund?
Yeah, that's true. And of course it depends. No one is going to make me pay for food that you bought or a pair of shoes or, those flimsy
Dinners
things.
and movies.
Dinners and movies. Those are things you're supposed to spend on as a man to woo a woman. But here there was an agreement. I'm going to take you to school. I'm going to marry you to begin with. And she said yes. And then he was like, okay, so you want to go to the LDC? I will pay for you because you're going to be my wife. And she said yes. So the judge, the magistrate, to say that she pays back, I agree, because many men have been defrauded by the women they took to school. He takes a girl to school with the hope that when she's done with school, she's going to become his wife. And if there has been a conversation to that effect and the woman is mature enough, what do you say when 18 is an adult, is of
age of consent?
Yes, is of age of consent, and there has been this conversation and she was in agreement, let her pay the money.
Okay, so on one hand, obviously, as a boy child representative, I feel elated at this because I'm happy that, a guy is getting his refund.
And on the other hand?
But on the other hand, I feel like she probably might just be a victim of poor legal representation.
Maybe. The
because
guy might have more money and probably she didn't have a good lawyer.
To me, it seems that it would be so easy to argue around this allegation.
How? There are receipts to that effect, especially if he was transferring money to her bank account with a narration clearly stating.
That's what I mean. Like, I would very much doubt that he signed a contract with the woman stipulating that the funds were given to her on condition of a promise of marriage.
But if he was transferring money from his account to hers or to mobile money, because some numbers, some networks will ask you to give a reason, and you say tuition, she would have to explain why a man that was not her relative was sending her money for her education.
I'm failing to see how that would be legally
the fact
binding.
That it was taken to court, because you need evidence, right? And evidence is here in terms of receipts.
Okay, because the fact of the matter is he would not be the first man who's been scorned or been burnt by a woman that he supported financially. It's the order of the day. Every man walking has a story of a woman who he gave things to, spent money on, and then she disappointed him.
But what I'm saying is that, yeah, there could be those men, but you see, in court, if you do not have evidence, you may not win the case. But probably he had bank transfers and mobile money messages. Most men give cash. So if you want to win a case, you must have the proof that you actually gave the money and that the money was meant for school fees, for tuition.
I'm just failing to... I am struggling to see, like, here, and don't get me wrong, I'm happy with the outcome. I'm just, from a strictly legal and technical perspective...
Yes.
It's not making sense to me how it could have been successfully legally argued that therefore the woman owes the man a refund. Because if that's the case, how would this not just open up the floodgates of people seeking refunds and compensation from women who have also done the same thing to them?
No, what I'm trying to say is this. From a legal perspective, in as much as I stand to be corrected, if you have sent money, because normally when you're making a wire transfer, whether a TT or an RTGS or an EFT, you are supposed to put a narration, salary payment, or paying for supplies, whatever. And when you get a statement, it will indicate...
Doesn't matter. Could it not have been a gift?
Which gift?
What I mean is, so if I were her lawyer, that's what my defense would have been.
And her lawyer would have to prove that it was actually a gift. But what if the man was paying directly to LDC with putting her names and then to LDC? He's not her father. He's not her brother. He's not a relative. He is an outsider that is spending money. So how do you explain that money? Well,
I'll have to get a lawyer's opinion on this. It's just, to me, I just fail to see how a good defense lawyer would not have successfully argued that it was a gift and therefore inadmissible as a criterion for...
How do you say inadmissible? You would have
seeking legal redress, let alone a refund.
You would have to prove you would have the burden of proof in terms of confirming and proving that money was a gift and that you don't need to pay it back. I think that the story is also different from a man who gets a minor, maybe an orphan, and he takes her through school. She's a minor, with the hope that maybe when she turns 18 or 20, I'll marry her. When that girl grows up and decides not to marry this man, I don't see how court can ask that person who was previously a minor when this contract started to pay back the money.
Okay, so do you think this now opens up the floodgates? Will more men now have grounds for seeking compensation for money spent on girlfriends? Because
if they have proof and if there has been a prior agreement, because this is not the first time. There is another case I saw. I think the gentleman was an MP and he even sent money to organize the events, and the chick changed her mind. Kumbe, he had kept all his receipts and the court ordered the lady to pay, and it was in hundreds of millions.
Imagine that. But for me, what gets me is the part where she says she can't marry him because he's old. Now that's funny.
So she had a need that an old man could meet, but after he met the need, then he was too old for her. The
Quite
double
interesting.
standards.
I'm hoping that in future she will think twice. I think next time someone comes to her and says, "Hey, may I buy you a nice new phone?" She'll be like, no.
But why are you surprised that she's being asked to pay back the money? Because
I'm very surprised.
Men take back engagement rings. Actually, there is, I think, a footballer that sued his ex-girlfriend for refusing to give back his engagement ring. And then A-Rod took back what? The Bugatti?
Whatever.
He had bought J-Lo.
It's different.
You guys are always taking back your stuff.
Okay. All right. Now, there's a certain category of gifts that men give women, which is more like it's still in his name. So a guy will buy a car or take out a lease on a car or on a house or whatever, and then maybe gift it to someone. So it's technically, legally still his property. So there, it's easy for someone to claim. They don't even need your permission. They can just walk in and just grab the keys and drive their car away.
Do you know what some guys do in Kampala? Apparently, a guy will have a car dealer. He gets this beautiful girl, woos her with a car. It can even be a Benz Formatic. And then she will be cruising around town for a few months. And when he feels that his time with her is done, he will just tell the car dealer her address. They will just come and repossess their car. So the chick is calling, some guys are here, they're taking my car. And the guy is like, I'll explain. And then she doesn't hear from him again. Apparently, men down here are doing that to girls.
Wow, that's sneaky but ingenious.
Sneaky. That's why if a man says, I've bought you a car, he doesn't give you the logbook, that's not your car.
So if a promise of marriage, if broken, if that can be grounds for seeking, some legal recourse, how is this not going to also happen the other way around? How many women have been promised marriage and not gotten it?
Oh, plenty.
So who knows? We might start to see, many cases in that regard also. It's just all a big mess. It's so complicated and so crazy.
Well, you guys will be out here making so much noise, asking us to prove what we provided when you promised us marriage. You guys are sneaky, not to be trusted.